right, Sunday Funday's here. Thanksgiving long weekend. What better way to spend it than working on a Chop 50 Ford Shoebox, right? So, this is not going to be a super exciting video because I am doing Thanksgiving dinner tonight. So it's 10 o'clock now and I got to head in the house around 2:33. So what we're going to do, where we left off, if you all remember, was we'll come around here to the little shoebox. We had left off welding the rear half of the back quarter in and we finished stitching it all up. Done. So I got to finish stitching up the front quarter here, along there, spot welding it. And then I got to do all my plug welds underneath where you still see the vice grips. Other than that, and I got, obviously you can see where I did some plug welds here, I got to grind down. Other than that, then this side is done. So then we will more than likely, I think, we'll move on to this side. Now, if you all remember, almost a year ago, maybe less, we welded this in. I never bought the back panel for this side. I did buy for the other side. I was waiting on it because it was rusty. This side had no rust whatsoever. But, like I said, you never know what's underneath there. Even if you grind it down and it's shiny metal, that doesn't mean. So, you know, it's better to put new metal. I'm going this far with this car, so I did get the panel. You can see it. It's sitting right up on the roof here. So I'm just going to do it. This way I know this car has all got new galore quarters. It's got rockers, it's got floors, it's got everything, right? It's as solid as a rock. They never really rust up in here. You don't see holes start up in there. Everything is always down low where the water sits and the mud from the tires splash up. So I think we'll address that. And then after that, our next piece, as you can see on the back here, that's our tail pan piece, which of course is rotted. We're going to address that situation. And then we got some chunk floor work to do in there. And then from the firewall back, well, except for the doors. I never did look at the doors. I don't think this door is solid on that corner. Yeah, solid there. Of course, we're going to clean all these. We're going to blast all in here. And blast it all. And I'll do that at home with my own little blaster. Could possibly... don't know. That looks to me like just the paint coming away there because it feels really good in here. So I think the doors are going to end up being very good. I think we're going to be lucky there. If anything, maybe worst case scenario, we might need a little patch, but yeah, like no rust, not even a bubble. Yeah, she's looking good. Even the factory drain holes, everything are there. Like, it's looking good. That's just the rubber you see there. But, yeah, I think the doors are going to be lucky. So, I can honestly say, and I know the chunk's good. I've already looked it over. But, again, we'll blast all the inner edges of stuff like that. You blast it. And like I said, I have a blaster right over here. Just do it myself. I've got two of them, actually. There's another one in behind here, a smaller one. I just do that little shit here myself, more than likely. Then we're done. We're done. Firewall back. And then it's just picking out a good set of front fenders. Now the car came with fenders that were really decent, but I have many fenders for a Shoebox Ford, and no, they're not for sale. Don't care who you are. Don't ask me. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't email me. Don't write me. I'm not selling them. That's that. So if that ain't clear enough for you, I don't know what is. So I'm going to get the welder kind of set up. We've got to get our ground cable on and get everything cleared away, and well, we'll start finishing up some welding on this side. Okay guys, so I got finished welding it there, ground it all down, finished the plug welds. I don't know if you can see this, probably not. Haven't ground this down yet. Finished the plug welds up underneath there, if you can see them. Just got to grind them down. Now what I'm doing next year is... some of you might be just watching this video for the first time, so you're going to have to go back to the beginning of these videos. They're titled under 50 Ford Shoebox build or something. Anyway, I made sure in the front I unbolted it, put my new rubber mount under there. This car's coming off the frame, of course, because you have to remember that your front support brace coming down right there, that there, the more you tighten it down, the more you shim it up, that changes your door adjustment. So I put the new shim under there, the pads and all that, just like I did when I did the floors. So I got it sitting where it should be. Then what you can also do is, because there's no adjustment on Shoebox Fords really, because they're just a direct bolt-on thing. So you're probably thinking, well, what do people do to adjust them? Well, what they do is what they can do is they can make a shim and put in there. Now I had to make a shim for this one. You can see the shim. And I put a small shim in there. I can't remember how thick it is. I think it's 16 gauge or something. Anyway, and that lined me up really, really nice on my door. Whoops, I didn't close that right. There you go. So that lined up the door really nice. Got my lines looking good. I put the quarters, the lower quarters on, but I'm not quite happy with the gap. Everything you have to remember when you're doing panels, this just happens. So the gap is nice here, but it did get a little tight down in here. And I'm kind of going for this thickness right there of a gap. I know, I never do this very often. Like on my 58 Ford car that I've got, you know, my black car that all you guys know, that car there is beautiful. It's straight, frame off I didn't worry about going around checking door gaps and fender gaps and trunk gaps. I aligned it the best I could with what it would have came with from the factory. This car, I'm kind of going a little maybe next level. Nothing crazy, because I don't build show-winning, award-winning cars. Barrett Jackson, or I should say, I don't know. I don't build this King Diggett shit, right? I'm not into that. I drive my cars and have fun with them. But I want them to look nice, and I just want to take this car to just maybe one notch up from what most of my cars are. So what I'm doing here is, like I say, the gap is nice here. You put the quarter on, and it wasn't even nice up in here, and this is factory. So what I've done here is I've made a splice. So I spliced, you can see here, and I should have filmed this, and I just forgot. I got carried away and I forgot. I splice it with the grinder, just a wheel, the thickness of the wheel, of the grinding wheel. I splice it up till you know, you're coming up, and you're coming up kind of a little wider here, and you're tapering off until I get that line I want, which I'm using this at, right there. I'm using that, and I'm kind of just checking it all the way, you know, all the way. So that's what I've done here now. So that's what you kind of missed out on. So I spliced it, I'm all the way up to here, and I just got to finish spot welding it all the way here, and grind it down, and I've got a beautiful, straight, even line with this. And I made sure originally too, when I did the car, my line is exactly the same all the way there. So, you know, everybody has their own way of going about things. Some people are going to say, well, I've never heard of this, I've never done this. Well, I'm going to tell you right now that there are fucking thousands of people out there that have cut this and done this like what I'm doing right now. There is. You go look, they splice it, they tap it back, they do it. Do you know that sometimes, this is a true fact, that certain quarter panels we buy for Camaros, the 67 to 69 Camaros, some of them quarter panels we buy, when we buy the full ones and they wrap right into the trunk, the gap on them is just fucked. And we have to do the same thing that I'm doing here on the top of the quarter, cut it and tap it, because it just is so tight and has nothing to do with how we're putting the quarter on. It's just some parts aren't 100%. You have to remember, they're taking stamps and dies off of stuff from way back in the day and redoing it now. It's never ever perfect, but there's good products out there, and these quarters are very good products. I'm super happy with them. I'm just getting a little fussy here. Could I have left it? I could have left it, and what I could have done was I could have put a small amount of filler on the top. I could have put a small amount of filler on the top on the edge to build it so it would have had that gap, but instead I decided to open the bottom up, because I don't like to put a lot of filler on edges, because edges are areas when you're getting into the car, your feet, your everything is hitting it, and when you start putting filler there, it just chips away. So if you're going to say to me next, Rick, what if the gap is too big here and I can't fix it? Then I would suggest then you start welding on, and I've done that before too. Sometimes the gap's too big, just weld on. That's all you can do. That is much better than body filler. Now, at the end of the day, see if that door will stay open. We're going to give this a light skim, a body filler, obviously, a very light skim. Like, I don't even know what to show you for thickness. Like, you know, like maybe the thickness of that end of that screwdriver there, it's going to get body filler. But we're not going to instead, you know, build the gap up. Like, I would have had to build the gap up like that much up there with filler to get it absolutely pristine, perfect, and you don't want to do that. You get in the car, you bang it, boom, chips off. So anyway, I'm just going to finish tacking that up, and I'm super happy. It's kind of hard to tell because you're going from silver to black, so the colors will throw you guys off unless you actually hear on the camera, but that line is perfect because, like I say, I'm using my judgment stick, which is just a shim. But anyway, use whatever you got, and it works for me. So getting a little fussy. But anyway, we'll get that done. We'll get these grinds off of here, and I think we'll start cutting on the other side because I think I'm pretty happy then with this side and how it is. So that is that. Let's get to it. guys, show you the front half. We got her all, so we got her all ground down in there, looking good. And now, you know, it took a few minutes here to grind that down. Remember, I don't know if you were paying attention when I was just grinding there. Don't sit here in one spot, grind, and don't just sit there and grind and grind and grind to get this one keep moving. Metal heats up. Everything heats up. All right. I like using these. There's all sorts of different wheels I got. For this right now, I'm just using a nice, some are 40 grits, some are 60. I got 40, 60, and 80 grits. I call them flapper disc. I don't know what they're really called, but I call them flapper disc. Anyway, I like those. And I got all sorts of grinding stones and wheels and all sorts of shit in the shed over there, or in the other bay there, the metalwork bay. So that's what I'm using on this. So I'm going to grind that away. Then I'm going to double check everything. And what I mean by double check is I'm going to grab my trusty flashlight. And I'm going to hold it up in behind where I can reach and still sit on the outside and see if I see any pinholes. And then grind away what I can on the back side. Then we're going to go on to cutting the other side, hopefully out. Hopefully. Like I said, I got to make it an early day today. Got to get in the house for the turkey. But hey, to be quite honest, I don't like turkey. Nah, I like it maybe once, twice a year. That's it. I'll take a chicken all day long over a turkey. Better yet, give me a fucking prime rib instead. Okay, welds are ground down. Feeling good. Needs a light skim of filler, not much. Ground them down inside also. You can't really see it, but anyway, it was welded. Oh, you can't see. It's welded right across there. So I ground them down, and then what I did was I sprayed on a rust treatment paint. Now I'm going to let that dry up for a few days. It'll dry by in a couple hours, but I'm going to leave it for a few days. Then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do a nice brushable seam sealer on there, just in case there is a pinhole I missed. Remember I told you I checked with my light, took care of that. Then I'll put a nice brushable seam sealer. Then inside here, I'm just going to do a texture spray. That's all I'm going to do. And then away we go. And I did the same here in the back. I ground it down all the way across, and of course sprayed a nice, you know, rust paint over the top of that. We'll leave it. We'll seam seal it later on. Texture spray in there on that part of the car. I'm going to do most of the inner panels in texture spray. I'm not a guy. Some people like to put Dynamat in their cars, or X-Mat, whatever you want to buy. There's stuff actually on Amazon. If you go on Amazon, you can get some stuff there. Same thickness, all sorts of qualities and names, just as good and half the price. I'm not personally a fan of putting it inside of doors and quarters and all that. And you're going to say why. And yeah, I mean, people put it in there because here's why. Hear that? They don't like that. They don't like that tinny sound, right? Now back in the day, not all of it, they used to spray this coating in here. That's the door, right? Still sounds tinny. I guess you could, you know, I mean, first off, you got to get all that coating off for that shit to even stick to it. And second off, I guess you could say that, hey, what I'm about to say here is wrong, because I don't like to put that shit in here, because I don't care how many new window seals and rubbers and shit you put in there when the car's sitting out in the rain, where mine do sit. Okay, I'm not the guy that only brings it out on sunny days and tucks it away in the garage. If it's raining, I'm driving it still. You know, I'm still going to go out cruising and have my fun with it. If I'm caught in the rain, I don't care. So water's going to get down in there. So I just don't like putting the X-Mat or whatever you want to call it, Dynamat in there, because I'm always afraid that maybe there's a certain area I didn't roll it right or something, and the water gets in behind that shit and sits there and just sweats and rusts and everything. Now I guess you could say, hey, the same thing could happen to this texture spray. What's to say you don't get a chip in there and it don't? But I just prefer this stuff. Honestly. For me, I prefer that. Is the Dynamat good in the doors and the quarters and all that bullshit? Yeah, it makes it sound solid. It actually is so funny, because when I knock on a door and I hear that, I'm like metal, when I knock on a door it's got Dynamat in it, which that's not Dynamat, but you know what I'm going to say, that deeper knock. In my mind, I'm thinking that's either got Dynamat in it or it's full of Bondo. People like it because it keeps in the road noise down inside the car. People want quiet. Those of you that just don't remember what these cars were. They were quiet, but they weren't like they are in brand new vehicles today. Brand new vehicles, you take them apart, fuck, there's like this much insulation and plastic and shit and everything to hide all the noises that are there. And people like to put that stuff in their old car because they want that quietness. Let's just say they want to pretend they're riding in a Cadillac. I don't know. I don't mind the odd little I don't mind that noise a little bit. I'm old school. I'm old blood, I guess. And I don't know. Just me. So anyway, I guess at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say here is I will not be putting Dynamat or any kind of matting on the inside of my doors or my quarters. I'm not interested. I'm going to clean the doors up really well inside and the quarters and all that. And I'm just going to do a nice texture spray on them and call it a day. At the end of the day, regardless whether you Dynamat or whether you do the texture spray, depending how old you are, I highly doubt it's ever going to rust out again in our lifetime if you replace the panels anyway. So really, who gives a shit? Let's go on the cut on the other side. Some of this crap out of here. Sometimes that shit can get caught up on your grinding wheel. You don't want that. Okay. So you might be wondering what I'm up to here. Anyway, I showed you this on the other side. I lay the panel up on here. I draw my line. There's my line. I'll cut higher up, but I always cut below my line at first. And at the end, I put the panel on there and cut it as I go and spot weld it. Right now, I'm going to drill out the spot welds under here. I was just cutting this piece away because the spot welds stop right here. So this is the part that I want to try and get off carefully underneath here to get the spot welds drilled out now without damaging the outer wheel tub. Now I don't know what it's like until I get this piece off. So I will do some more trimming and cutting and then get it off. And of course, like I say again, where all your holes are for trim, when I held that up there, I marked them on the back side of that. There you go. So we're gonna see. Hopefully, remember the other side was rust free. Hopefully this side's the same, but you can see. Look at all the factory goop and shit they put in there. So we'll quickly find out. All right. So you can see I got it all cut off down there, somewhat. Still got to do some more trimming back here. But look at this. That's where it ends, factory. Right, and you plug weld onto this. That's your tub in behind, solid. Now it's got this. Now I took the grinder to it and cleaned it up, and that is nowhere near through. So that's a good example right there where you want to put some rust mort, and that's not going to rust out in our lifetime, or at least my lifetime anyway. So I guess in my lifetime, I'm saying I got, I don't know, I'm going to guarantee that for 30 more years. That's for sure. So yeah, so of course, as normal, you know, like I say, I've cut it off a little below the line. I'll trim it up a little better, keep fitting it on. I'm not going to get that done today. We're running short on time here. What I did on the other side while this was off, as you can see, it's quite rusty here. So I had cut that out. Because if you put the quarter on and you try and cut this with a grinding wheel, the grinding wheel is going to go into your new quarter. So I'm going to cut this out because we have this new pan right here. That pan is going to come up to, I don't know, roughly a little further than this. It's going to come up to here, but we still got some issues here. And to be honest with you, that's okay. I can make that piece, or I might even have a piece out in my back shed that's already got a bead roll in it. If not, I got a bead roller in the room over there. So I'm not going to go buy nothing for that. I'm just going to cut this, snip it right out there, and I'm just going to make a homemade piece for myself there. The bottom line is on that, no one's ever going to know if it's not 100% perfect because the gas tank butts up against it from the underneath. The only way you'd know is from looking on top. And really, what do I got to do? I got to put a rib line in it, and then this is a plate same as there, where your gas tank bolts to. So we're going to snip some of this away in here, or cut it away I should say, tidy it up a bit, and I think we'll call it a day for today. So I'm going to just I'm going to see what I can get done here right now in this next little half hour. But I'm happy. I'm happy with where we're coming along today. And again, same thing on this door. Same gap, same nice gap, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, until right in this area. Right basically in here. She gets a little tight. So what we're going to do there is we're going to come along and we're going to snip it. We're going to come up on an angle like my finger's going, then we're going to tap, tap, tap. Now you might think, well, it doesn't throw the line off, because the line's already thrown off. It's wider here than it's getting that way. So by us cutting it this way, we're putting it straight again. And it has nothing to do with this being on cockeyed or the door cockeyed. It's just the way it is. So we will fix that up. You could leave it, and it's fine. The door's not rubbing. It's just I'm getting fussy now. The difference of this gap here to the gap there, honestly, is a width of like a nickel, which is nothing. Maybe like, I'm going to say it's like maybe 18 thou, 16 max. Anyway, let's do some cleanup. Okay guys, well we got our pile of crap we got out of there, and we're going to call it a day. Sprayed on my rust treatment paint, let that dry up for the next week till I get back to it again. Sprayed on my weld through primer. You can see the copper color because right there is where I got to do a weld right there, because when I originally cut in for this quarter, I had cut that, so I'll weld that, and then we'll spray some of our rust paint back on there. We'll do our trimming up, and next Sunday, if everything goes as planned, Sunday Funday will be putting this quarter piece on, and if we can get it tacked into place, we don't need to finish it off. We can start addressing all in here. I got all that cut out. And start figuring all this out. Let's see what's going on. You can see I left the body support mounts there, so nothing's moving back here, right? Kind of lets me know where the height is. That'll all be replaced, obviously, because they're rotten, but yeah. So we'll go from there. And yeah, got to get this right. That's why I never did take the trunk lid off, and we got the new one right. Like I say, it's right up there. So we are doing good. I'm very happy with how this car is coming along. We're only on our second Sunday Funday for this fall, but fall is here, and if we ain't working on the Shoebox Ford, we'll be working on the 55 gasser. That's right, if you're new and you're watching, I have a 55 gasser. Look it up. It's called 55 gasser build. It's a little different build. It's not 100% pure gasser, but it's gasser. It's gasser enough to be called a gasser, and I'm building that one too. I'm building two at once. Building two at once. Will they be on the road next summer? No. The following summer, one of the two will be on the road. I don't know which one will be closer. We'll just play it by ear and see. Right at the moment, the Shoebox is looking closer than the 55. But that's all right. And keep in mind, if you're one of my normal subscribers and you're not new today, my 58 Ford is coming in for a repaint. Stripping down all the chrome, ripping the interior out. She's getting all painted, shiny black again, wet sand polish. Ceramic coated in the end. She's getting done again. A couple pieces of chrome trim need to be re-chromed. This will be the last and final time for that car. Throw a disc brake conversion kit on it, set of aluminum heads, maybe try and gain myself an extra 50 horse out of that bad boy, and we'll call it a day on that one. Hey, it's always a good time at old time. Thanks for watching, guys.